Disney inspired movies. We have the BFG, very colorful trailers.
That was a good movie.
Bombed at the box office.
Yeah, we still remember the drive-ins.
Yep.
I actually enjoyed it.
As you mentioned, Tomorrowland.
This reminds me a lot of Tomorrowland.
Very colorful, very bright, good actors involved with George Clooney. Bombed at the box office.
This most likely will bomb at the box
office.
So
it does come out March 9th, and I don't believe March has any significant blockbusters coming out. Tomorrowland and BFG went up in like the hard-hitting month of May against Marvel movies.
This could be a hit with like kids, maybe.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like...
It doesn't
look good. No.
It's weird.
The main character seems really uncompelling.
I feel like there's no audience for this movie.
It's really tough to have a blockbuster led by a child actor as well.
Yeah,
because they're very hit or miss.
I feel like if you put Finn Wolfhard in there...
Sometimes you'll have a legend like Jake Lloyd. And
of course.
Now this is Podracer.
No, but like if you put Finn Wolfhard in this movie, I think it'd make more money.
Yeah, because he's proven to have
acting chops.
Yeah. And so, I don't think this movie, like you said, looks very compelling. I think it looks
There's no audience.
bold.
There's no audience.
Yeah, but I just don't know who they're targeting. Maybe there'll be a better marketing campaign.
Like Jake said,
early 2018.
The book wasn't memorable, so the audience could be the people who read the book, but if they don't remember it, why watch the movie?
Yeah, maybe there'll be a more compelling trailer release, but I didn't really care about the story with, Chris Pine is trapped in another dimension and it's too dangerous to go there. We all know that they're going to reunite with Chris Pine. I mean, this is not just from reading the book. I barely have any recollection of it, but knowing what the story is setting up, they will reunite at some point.
Yeah.
Unless they don't.
Unless they take a dark turn and
Jake read the book.
Oprah Winfrey decides to take everything for herself.
Take the dad for herself.
So instead of like, you get a cut, I get
lonely up there in those fields of nothing.
I guess so.
Let's not see this movie.
This is not a movie I plan on seeing, but it'll be interesting to see how it makes its box office because, as we've seen, movies like this, they don't have a good track record. And we've seen, it seems like Disney's releasing one of these a year, as I said, with BFG and Tomorrowland.
One movie they know that's not
one movie based on an obscure source.
The BFG is not an obscure source.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. No, it was actually a good movie.
Yes, it's a classic book, but obviously it didn't translate to film very well.
It did. It got good reviews.
It got good reviews, but at the end of the day, it's all about box office.
I guess
that's what the studios are after.
BFG was good.
That's what the studios are after, but not the fans.
Not the fans.
Most of the fans aren't after the movie if it bombs the box office.
That's true. All right, moving on to our final news topic before our review of Star Wars, we have a new trailer for A Quiet Place. Now, I didn't really know much about this movie. I just heard that the trailer was released and everyone was saying it was really good. And the synopsis is 10 words, essentially. If they can't hear you, they can't hunt you. That is all they give for the synopsis when I looked it up on IMDb. And this movie stars John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and it's actually also directed by John Krasinski. This trailer is primarily silent, and we see a family living in what looks to be like a foresty type area, and they're very careful with all their movements. We see John Krasinski pouring some powder on just pathways through the woods, which I assume is to make sure they don't step on any twigs or anything or make any noise.
Yeah, and you see in the hallways, they mark where the floorboards won't creak.
Yeah, that was, this trailer built up to, what's going on. And then what I thought was very interesting is many people don't pay attention to, I don't know if they have a specific name, but the words that come in between scenes in a trailer. Like, we were just watching the Wrinkle in Time trailer, and it says the only way to fight darkness is to become the light, and it was very predictable. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Because there was no real dialogue in this trailer, the words in between scenes were very intriguing because we were wondering what was going on. And basically, they just reiterate the synopsis with, if they can't hear you, they can't hunt you. And so, this trailer picks up with one of the children knocking over a lamp, and then the rug catching on fire, and then we hear knocks, and John Krasinski looks to be really scared. And I was not going to lie, I was blown away by this trailer because it was very original.
Yeah, it's original.
Originality
always triumphs.
And
it looks scary, so therefore I'm not going to see it.
It's what's interesting about this trailer, though, is that it's original, but it's also, I don't know where to base it off of. I can't remember the last time I've seen a silent trailer. There was no dialogue in this trailer whatsoever, and it was completely told by what you see. And
it's far more compelling than other trailers.
Yeah,
where there's no dialogue.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't need it.
And so
movies did it for years.
It's telling a story with just scenes, and I find that very interesting.
I'll give it that. I would like to see some originality in Hollywood, and this looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
Jake?
think that this could go like one of two ways.
It could, yeah.
I think that no matter what, the first half of this movie is going to be super compelling.
Right.
The audience is going to be like, what's going on? Why is it silent? And then like the second half could totally plummet.
It could go cliche. It could go
that
very
makes sense.
cliche.
Like once
And
you find out what the mystery is, that could ruin
like
the
the,
whole like pacing.
The opening thing when she like gasps. What a cliche for a trailer to open up with like a.
Yeah, but that was the only real sound human made sound we get.
I guess.
And
it's just like you can those cliches are never good to see this early.
Also, we don't know if what's hunting them is human. Is it some sort of monster?
Why still live in the house?
Well, I guess we'll have to find that out. Maybe there's some like rule that they can't leave. That's the equivalent of making noise, you know.
I guess.
We'll have to find out.
On April 6, 2018.
April 6, 2018, that's when this movie is released. As I said, it stars John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and it is directed by John Krasinski, which I believe is his directorial debut. The latest movie he starred in was the SEAL Team 6 movie. It wasn't SEAL Team 6, it was
some military thing.
Military, why is it escaping me? Something 12, not 12 rounds, 12, I don't know. I'll blurt it out in the middle of the Star Wars review because it'll come back. But without further ado, that will transition perfectly into our Star Wars review. This week, we have finished the prequels. Thank God. It was rigorous, but we got through it.
A long time.
And so we are now on the original Star Wars, released on May 25th, 1977. Obviously starred Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Alec Guinness, and Peter Cushing. Directed by George Lucas, his one universally praised Star Wars movie. As much as people like Revenge of the Sith, I wouldn't call it universally praised. Just to read the synopsis.
Did you say Empire Strikes Back is not universally praised?
He didn't direct it. Yeah, he didn't direct that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
He was the executive producer.
Yeah. So just to read the synopsis, and
Who did direct Empire Strikes Back?
if you're not familiar with it, I don't want to think about it because it's gonna make me pause for a bit.
Directed
Episode 6, yeah. Alright, the synopsis. The Imperial forces, under orders from cruel Darth Vader, hold Princess Leia hostage in their efforts to quell the rebellion against the Galactic Empire. Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, captain of the Millennium Falcon, work together with the companionable droid duo of R2-D2 and C-3PO to rescue the beautiful princess, help the Rebel Alliance, and restore freedom and justice to the galaxy. Just to turn it over, I want to go to Luke first because you haven't talked much, but I know you have a lot to say about this movie. Just general thoughts real quick.
I think it's a very good movie. It's not the best, but it's obviously better than the prequels. It's my third favorite of the originals. My favorite is Return of the Jedi, even though I know Empire Strikes Back is the best. But Episode 4, which is what it's known, I know you call it the original Star Wars
because that's
Eddie.
It was released.
It's really not the original Star Wars anymore.
It was released as Star Wars. That's what I call it.
But like when you have all the like new CGI effects that Lucas put in,
it's no longer.
The original.
Unfortunately, yeah. What I own,
becomes Episode 4.
What I own is the remastered version because it's the only version you can buy. I know there is a way of going online and watching the regular version, but I'm
surprised Disney
passionate enough to get that on Blu-ray.
Disney would make so much money.
That could have been one of the one clauses in the contract with George Lucas, just like
you can't make those movies
better. You can't release my original property. You can't and they would willingly say like whatever. We don't care. We'll take the rights to this franchise that's going to make us $20 billion over the course of the next decade. Yeah. Honestly,
a lot of money.
So yeah, just general thoughts about this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's weird with me because I always switch what my favorite movie of the original trilogy was. For a long time, it was this one. Right now, I think it's Empire Strikes Back. But I've also gone Return of the Jedi, so it kind of just goes to show how amazing this trilogy as a whole is, where you don't really know which is your favorite, and third is not a bad thing. It's just saying it's your least best, I guess. It's the best way to describe it, honestly. And yeah, this movie, I just really like how they start in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of movies don't take the risk with nowadays.
Intrigue.
Yeah, it's unprecedented today. Back then, more movies took risks like this. Like Blade Runner started in the middle of the story. We don't get...
Indiana Jones does that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we get right into
The action.
yeah, and basically your only backstory is 2 quick paragraphs, not even paragraphs, just on the opening crawl text about what the previous story is. There's hints of what happens. Obviously what we know now is Rogue One about stealing the Death Star plans. But yeah, I just really like how this movie starts right in the middle and we just get hooked right in rather than setting up everything. Of course, the setup can be explained upon further, as we see with the prequels and what they're doing now with the Star Wars stories, but I like how they start the franchise in the middle of a battle, essentially.
Yeah.
I want to turn it over to Jake now. Jake, what's going on?
Let's see. I mean, I think A New Hope is one of the most iconic movies ever made.
For sure.
And it has some of my favorite moments, and it is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right.
But I mean, let's be honest. When we were watching it earlier, we shut it off before we got to the end.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if that's saying that we've seen it so much
we
or
have seen it so many times.
We just we kind of know like the back of our hands.
I was just
Exactly.
making jokes about it the whole
And
time.
I think that maybe at some points it is a little bit slow.
It drags at points.
Yeah.
Like
But-
on Tatooine, I always say this. I can't stand it when it's just R2D2 and C3PO wandering the desert.
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
robot.
Like
That-
I get
that
it, you're
is-
like developing their relationship kind of.
Yeah.
But like, damn it,
It's
stop.
so fun. It started the Star Wars universe, and I'm so grateful.
It's
for
iconic.
that. And it is iconic. And when you're in the theaters in 1975, you're like, oh
70,
my god.
77.
Sorry.
Whatever. It's cool.
When you're sitting there in the theaters, you're saying, wow, this is the greatest thing I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves a lot of credit for that. But it's just having seen it so many times now, we kind of notice that it does drag on.
Yeah, we the flaws are more apparent, but they're only flaws because I feel like we're nitpicking at this point.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it so many times.
You gotta find something else to talk about, and it's so good. Yay!
Exactly. Just I want to go through favorite scenes real quick. It's kind of tough to think of one in general, but I would probably say the trash compactor scene, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the ones where when I was a kid, when I saw it in whole, in completion on DVD, and then it would occasionally be on, what is it, TNT or Spike?
Spikes.
And it would always, somehow I would always see that scene in whole. And it just always drew back to me of, it was the first time I felt like I was in the movie because I remember feeling claustrophobic as the walls were closing in. And it was also very mysterious because we don't know what was under the water. And I think it also helped strengthen the bond of Leia, Han, and Luke because it's the first time they really overcome something together as a trio. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just really like the trash compactor scene. Mike, do you have a favorite scene?
I would have to say, I guess when Luke's walking in Tatooine and when
the two sons,
that's an iconic.
That
image.
is one of the most iconic scenes in
And,
film. I'd say.
Binary Sunset.
I like when Darth Vader chokes the guy.
Oh,
It kinda sets
at the
up
table.
it kind of sets up this whole thing.
Yeah, because Luke was mentioning about how they don't really fear Vader at this point.
They kind of
They just respect him because they think that the Force and the Jedi, they think it's a dead
Silly
thing. It's in
wizard.
the past, and that the Empire and their technology and whatnot. They think
It was
it's the future.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, but
they're like, your sorcerer's ways. You're part of a dead religion. Blah blah blah. And and also they hate the fact that Vader has free reign in the Empire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's only to Palpatine.
true. My favorite scene is the cantina, though.
The
That's my
cantina,
favorite scene.
yeah.
That's my favorite scene.
You love that.
I
Yeah.
love that scene.
Iconic music.
Homeboy starts dancing.
He was, what was it? The two characters are also in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a little more backstory. Not even
not
backstory. They bump into.
I love that
It's
scene
a quick
because
cameo for the fans.
Yeah, essentially.
it's such a creative scene, and there's so much effort and creativity just to world building in that scene. It's amazing. Yeah.
What was it? The Wolfman was in
the
it.
Wolfman,
in
the
background.
devil, the creepy worm.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff you can just point out in there,
And we
it's all
get-
practical,
we get
too.
our-
all costumes.
It's
awesome.
the first time we really get to fall in love with the character of Han Solo because he goes by as he does not he shoots first. That's the one thing that George Lucas changed that I absolutely can't stand. I'm okay with the no in Return of the Jedi. It's Han not shooting first because it's just the principle that changes his character completely because the point is in this movie he shoots Greedo first because he doesn't care and then it transforms his character
He's kind of a dick.
by the end because by the end he was the one who comes back in the Millennium Falcon
But George Lucas
to assist Luke.
I don't want him to be a mean
And
man.
so the fact that he shoots second is saying that it's a reactionary, it's in self-defense. That's not
That's not.
That's not who the character of Han Solo is at this point.
Yeah.
He
Plus,
evolves into a more iconic
Yeah.
and like helpful
Nice
hero,
guy, yeah.
but at this
He's
point
a rebel.
he's an anti-hero.